What's up, Rob? There you are. How are you?
Hello.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
I think that we've both had a hell of a day today. But
But look at the sunset.
I was literally just gonna say, I can see it right here from my studio window. But all my devices are being used for live on TikTok and Instagram, and I just looked outside, and it's amazing.
It's gorgeous out.
It's gorgeous. I'm gonna look outside one more time. Oh, just spectacular. I'm saying hi to all my friends that are joining here. Spectacular sunset tonight, which, kind of on an interesting day, right? So you're getting a hello from TJC4 Photo.
Oh, that's my friend TJ.
TJ, okay. Hey, TJ. Yeah, Rob, I gotta tell you, you have got a lot of fans. After last, who else is trying to join? Okay. After last week, hello to everybody on my TikTok feed, by the way. Hello to Apollonia. Hello, guys. I got a lot of messages from people last week saying Rob was the MVP. Let's see, we're trying to tell Rob how exciting.
Hello.
Oh, wait, you know what? Dave, say it now.
How about now?
My volume was down on the tablet. So anyway.
Oh, good.
Okay, so let's start over. I was saying that Rob got so much love from the operators last week. I got not just like comments, but people were texting me. And so I was just like, wow, wait, Rob, you're going to have to be a permanent fixture just like Dave over here, because it's nice to have, I think it's also nice to have, male input, right? That's not, banging me personally. So anyway, I was saying, like, before the show, I've been having like a little anxiety for the last few weeks, and I think it's just like the last couple days leading up to the last few episodes. It's not about the episode. I've had a lot going on, which is like that's bullshit, right? Because we all have so much going on all the time. So it's like, but I feel like I've had a few interesting weeks. So it's going to lead into to today's episode about defining adulting. But before we get to that, one of the other things I wanted to bring up, Dave, I'm always like, oh, I wonder if people really are listening or, watching or whatever, because I can kind of see, on both like feeds, like if there's people, but I don't know, right? Like I'm not paying too much attention, but I'm always wondering. And today I went to go see my horses and feed them, before I went and got Kennedy from school. And all the people who work the security guards there, I know them all, and they follow the show. And so one girl, Jenny, who I love, she goes, Jen, I was hoping you were coming. How is that whole thing with Dave going? And Dave, can you hear me or no? Just give me Dave's probably on the phone. But I just laughed because...
No, I'm here.
Okay, but I just laughed because she was like, how's everything going? And I was like, oh, well, that's funny that you asked. Did you watch the episode? Hey, Amy. And she said, yeah, I watched the whole episode, and I'm just like really, like I'm invested. And I thought that was really cool because, I really only know her through work. So I said, well, and then she said, how was the whole thing with Court and your daughter last week? And I said, funny you ask, because that's what we're going to get into today with our episode, Your Best Adulting Moment. So welcome to MILF Hotline. On the TikTok feed, we have Dave Padilla. And on the Instagram feed, we have Rob Ryder, just absolute, a new operator, fan favorite, straight male looking for love. We're also trying to find Rob a woman, but you are going to have to go through a rigorous vet check. All the operators will stand by Rob to make sure that the next woman that comes into your life is the right woman. So before I get into my story, Rob, how would you define adulting? You've got so much experience,
I do.
And
I don't know.
Again, especially after today, I feel like, you adulted.
I think the majority of us don't want to adult. We want to stay kids, and we want to be taken care of, and we want someone to take care of us.
Totally.
But I guess defining adulting for me would be stepping up, taking control, doing what needs to be done, doing it right, and being responsible.
1,000%.
Which can be scary. I mean, it's am I doing the right thing? I'm drawing the line in the sand. It's this way, and it's got to go. It's got to work. So, and hopefully you don't screw up.
Do you find that? So I'm 45. I know you're barely 50. We're basically the same age. Dave looks like he's 35. He's 43. Do you find that? I found that when I got to 40, like I was really worried about getting to 40 because I was like, am I going to lose my edge? Am I not going to want to go to Coachella anymore? Am I going to be boring? And I got to 40 and I thought I lost my edge a little bit, but almost like I traded it in. But but there are, like you said, like this feeling of being taken care of. And sometimes Dave shows up with like toilet paper, or he cleans my carpets, or he gets us stuff. And I realize, I need assistance, in life, right? Like it's so hard to do everything on your own. And does that change, you think, when you get to your 50s, or is it scarier? Is it a little easier?
Geez. I mean, for me, I've had to make some adjustments as I'm getting older, simply for my health. But it kind of still rolls in my social scene. Like, me from way back. I used to go to hockey games and drink tons of beer.
Yes.
I don't drink beer anymore. Yeah, I mean, very rarely. Can't drink beer.
Yeah.
I moved to wine.
Yes, which almost seems. For me, and Dave can tell you from his experience with me, was it last Friday?
Yeah, Saturday.
Before, we went to one of my clients' birthday parties, and this is going to shock people, but I really do have like social anxiety when it comes to being in gatherings. And I think that's also why I get anxiety before the show, because I'm like, everybody's watching me. Am I going to have a co-host? What if it goes wrong? And it's just like, I can hit end transmission. I don't have to stay live if I don't want to. But going to this party, and the client is like a family friend. Almost, like she's become my family, and a horse client. And I said to David, I'm a little nervous. He's like, let's go get some drinks beforehand. I was like, okay. So I had 2 Greyhounds, which they have vodka in them. And then I was like, yeah, feeling good. Let's go to the party. And then I said, I'm not going to have any more cocktails because I've already had too much hard alcohol. So he goes, well, do you want some wine? They offered me wine. I said, sure. So Dave, someone poured me a cup of wine. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, this is great. Next thing I know, I'm singing karaoke at their house. I was fine until I wasn't fine. Right, Dave? And then I remember arguing with him a little bit. I wasn't blackout, but I remember. Yeah, right. I was like, let's go see my horses, because my horses are down the street from hers. And then we decided not to do that. And then I remember yelling at him about something that I'm embarrassed to talk about. I think it was that I wanted him to love my kid more than his ex-girlfriend's kids. Like stuff that I talk about on the hotline that is off limits, and yet brought it up. And then he said...
And of course, you brought up the Beatles, too.
Then I brought up the Beatles. Dave loves the Beatles. So I said, let me cue up some Beatles songs. And I queued up like 3 from Rubber Soul. And Dave says, this is the worst Beatles album ever. And I think I don't even think, because I just raked him across the coals. I mean, I ripped his asshole apart. I was like, how dare you say that about Rubber Soul? And then he didn't park in my driveway. And so wine isn't for me. Ever. So anyway, but yes, you were saying, sorry to interrupt, but
I find it a little bit different. So I think wine is more of an acceptable way to get trashed when you're older.
Yes,
and
that's true.
And so when I moved to wine, I started learning a lot about wine.
Yes.
Right? But I still like to drink it and get to my inebriation level, right?
Yes.
But what I found, just by going to wine bars and stuff, and I go to Lake Arrowhead pretty much every weekend.
Yes.
And there was a wine bar there, and I would go there and talk about wine, and I met all these people that are weekenders too, with their weekend mansions, and it got me into that little clique society out there because I'm a wine guy.
Are you just like sipping it?
But
I'm getting
but
notes of a headache, like that.
right, well, it depends which wine you're drinking, but yes. But learning people's palate and then learning a wine that would complement what we're eating, like all this stuff, and then talking about the history of the wine, the winery, like people are fascinated. And then I'm getting invited to dinner parties where I just bring a good bottle of wine. And so that was like kind of a step out of like the beer drinking hockey parties to like fancier adults that are more accomplished, that are professional and doctors and wealth advisors.
Did you ever come to my parents when Jim Fox would do his wine tastings? Did you do that once with Thalia?
I didn't go with Thalia, but Jim Fox was always at your parents' house.
Yeah, always. And Dave won't know who Jim Fox is, I don't think. Dave, do you know?
I don't.
Jim Fox does the color for the Los Angeles Kings. He's a former player.
Okay, yeah.
But he's also a well-known wine connoisseur. He
has his own wine.
Yeah, it's like
little winery.
If you know the Kings, you know the name of the wine. But anyway.
Yeah, Jim Fox is one of the announcers.
I think it's Patine or something. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't know. But I remember drinking it, and I remember me and my sister falling over backwards. But anyway.
So back to adulting, and we're talking about alcohol and drinking wine and stuff. I think moving, like, I just couldn't physically drink the beer anymore. You get one or two and you get bloated, and I'm getting getting the man boobs and all that. So I moved to wine, and I started hanging out with a different clique of people, just more professional. But they're still getting tanked. I mean, wine is a great way for fancy people to get tanked. Yeah. Do you have more sophisticated conversations when you're wine drunk? Yeah. Totally. Well, with these people, I mean, everyone's a working professional, right? Either educated or at least has their shit together, that they have a spot at the table. I imagine you drinking with like the Monopoly man and Mr. Peanut. I'm of the younger one at the table, but I do love my wine friends, and I don't know, I just feel more grown up now that I'm hanging out with like people that actually have jobs rather than people who are like still have to borrow money off their parents to pay their rent or what have you. Yeah, these are established people, so it was really wine was a transition for me into adulting, and then you get to learn stuff too, right? Everyone bounces their road that they've traveled to get to where they are, and I share mine, and then you get the feedback, and you become more knowledgeable and even wiser. Yeah, well, I love that. Dave, what does adulting mean to you? And like, you've gotten into your 40s sooner than Rob and I have because you're the baby of the conversation. When you got into your 40s, did adulting change for you?
Not really, because I had been. Well, you know what? In some ways it did. In some ways,
was he just gonna say because I've been an adult my whole life?
Kinda, you know.
Because I don't know. I hadn't been borrowing money from anybody to pay my rent in a while.
I mean, I think for me, like I've always been career oriented since I was younger. You know, I didn't go to college, so I felt like in some ways, like I had to be a lot more strict in terms of like what I could and couldn't do. Like, so I guess I did a lot, the majority of like my partying and experimentation when I was in my early 20s. But then since then, you know, there was just a big focus on like the career is going to be like my defining thing because I really wasn't sure at the time whether I wanted to have a family or not.
Right.
So that kind of really oriented me in the sense that like, you know, I was big on making sure that I didn't have any debt. I didn't really care about having a house, but I wanted to make sure I had emergency funds.
Right.
So it was something that was very specific in regards to like how I wanted to have my life. And then I married somebody that was very, you know, goals oriented in the sense that we weren't going to have debt. We were going to, you know, spend a certain amount of money on traveling. You know, be very like I hate having leftovers or leaving stuff behind. Like I love leftovers, you know. So to me, there was a lot of there were just a lot of kind of things that I started doing for myself in my late 20s, early 30s.
Right.
And I think over time, a lot of the changes that I've made have had more to do with like health, like making sure that, you know, I sleep like shit, but like making sure that I like worked out more, that I was a little bit more conscientious of what I was eating.
Right.
You know, like in terms of drinking habits, I mean, I think some of it has kind of died down a little bit. In some ways it hasn't.
Your drinking habits have died down?
Well, they've changed, you know, like, and
I was
for me,
gonna
it's
say
like,
if this. The man was out at the Bigfoot last night until 12:30.
Yeah, but I wasn't drinking for like the last hour. Um, but you know, like there are certain considerations that I have that are really just more about like wanting to take care of myself physically and I guess mentally as well. But I mean, I think, you know, in terms of habits, a lot of it more now is like, okay, like maybe I should be conscientious about my retirement because, you know, who knows what's going to happen in 20 years. So I think it's, you know, being a little bit more mindful of what's to come because I certainly don't feel young anymore. And especially with working with people who are in their early 20s, like, you know, there's a huge difference between like, I still have the rest of my life in front of me versus I really need to start thinking about what might happen, like if I fall down in 10 years, you know?
Listening to both of you talk in general, I am so far behind the eight ball.
You know, can I say one thing? Dave's story I appreciate because you know I think I've had a similar story too. Ugh. But I think back to defining the word adulting, it's those that aren't adulting, they don't understand the word consequences for their actions.
True.
And that's the big one there. So, you know, Dave talking about, hey, maybe I should start saving for retirement. Maybe I shouldn't have any debt. Kids aren't thinking about consequences.
No.
They're like, well, I got $200 in my bank. I better throw a raging Kager party. Right?
So again,
they're not thinking the consequences further down.
This sounds like me, only not a party, but maybe another horse or an animal or like an online subscription. My Credit Karma literally messaged me the other day and was like, maybe cut back on some subscriptions and you won't be negative mid-month. And I'm like, I didn't realize how many I even have. And then I started looking and I'm like, and then as far as retirement goes, I really feel like it's something I've always been like, oh, I'll like in the past, because I've always trained horses in the past, right? So it was like, I'll pay into it. There's a 401k you can pay into when you're self-employed. And I'm like, I'll do it later. Okay, well, here I am and it's later. And not only do I have to think about retiring, which I'm sure I will not get that luxury. I better just kick it. But I've got a kid that wants to go to NYU. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's 13. So
scholarship.
I mean,
scholarship.
You have no idea. I mean, grants, whatever. But I just think like, I better hurry up and change things, right? For myself as a grown, like to adult. And anyway, so yeah, you both have valid points. My version of adulting is not as financially advantageous as both of yours. And now I'm feeling like maybe the next episode will be the operators trying to teach me how to grow up and save some money. I think one of them would be like, maybe don't buy a really expensive house or stop having all the animals or I don't know. Dave, would you say I'm a superfluous spender? I don't have the money to do it.
A superfluous spender.
Actually, I'm going to not have, you know what? You can go ahead and stop. I know. As soon as the words left my mouth, all I could think about was how much I DoorDash. Were you going to go there?
You know what? I might have touched on it, yeah.
So if I stop DoorDashing, get off my ass and go to the market, maybe I could have retirement money. But, you know, I am putting those DoorDashers through to retirement. So I want to talk about one of the ways I adulted this week. And then I got two big ones. And then we're going to kind of go from there. So I mentioned that my daughter's dad and we had been doing this. I don't know if I told you how much, Rob, but we've been kind of battling in court for the last year. And then recently he wanted I had all custody and he had visitation. He wanted joint custody. And I was not about it. I didn't want to go there with him. We barely are able to talk and text and be good to each other. My hair is going to shit house. We do not communicate well. And I would have been damned if I was going to let him have half the decisions, for my kid. And there's a lot of embellishing that goes on sometimes with both sides, with he and I, and we only are able to talk through Talking Parents, which is a website app that the court can monitor. And in this last 2-month period where it's just been very exhausting and emotionally draining, I think so speaking of asking your parents for money, I did ask Steve and Diane if they would help me with a retainer on a lawyer because I thought I was going to need one. He showed up with his lawyer, who's she's fine, but she's a real bitch in court. Like, I'm impressed because she can make me come unhinged. And I asked my parents to help me.
Who is it? Can you say?
Huh? Yeah. I don't have a problem with her now. Michelle Hopkins is her name.
Oh, girl.
And I have to say, if she's ever out there watching, like, I would recommend her if you want someone to do a slam dunk because, I mean, even she said, like,
she's a bulldog, huh?
She's hardcore. She's hardcore. I have a lot of respect for her now that I am not on the other end. But anyway, long story longer, my parents absolutely denied me the money. And in that denial caused a huge fight between me and them. Not because just of the money, just, old Dallas wounds that reopened. And closed the door with them and decided I wasn't going to fight my ex. I really just tried to calm down, not freak out about going into court, which was this last Friday. And I had sent him a message the day before saying, look, I'm not going to fight you. I think that we can come to an agreement. There's a couple things I want to talk about schedule-wise, but there's really no reason that you can't have half the misery that I do. And in the end, I mean, like, I got to court and he and his lawyer and I met privately for 40 minutes. Everything was boom, boom, boom. In the end, like, we go in front of the judge. He was thrilled we came to an agreement. He even asked me if someone forced me to be agreeable with these changes, and I said no. And at the end of the session, Mike and his family we all hugged. And they were very happy about just, like, no excitement, right? Like, there's no arguments. There's, like, we're just trying to do what's best for the one thing that matters, which is Kennedy. And so I left. This was the first time in she's 13. So let's just say even 9 years that I've left court after, that I've been with him and left being like, oh my God, it's going to fucking work. Like, it felt like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. And I get along with him okay, but, he's my ex-husband. We have a ton of negative history together. It was really hard for me. And so anyway, this is a long way around of saying my version of adulting was thinking, I thought I was just going to lose, right? I was going to lose custody. I was going to lose all these things. I was going to lose half of my, what's what I'm looking for? Like, not abilities, but half of my control with my daughter. And by stopping to think that I'm not really losing, I'm still winning by doing what's best for my kid was a huge victory for me in the adulting way. So it was like, when you were saying, I don't want to adult, this sucks. I'm scared. This is unfamiliar territory. And I finally for me, I tried to breathe some positivity and it worked out. Which is a first for me in a lot of ways, right? Like, did it cost me having a huge argument with my folks and cutting ties with them? It didn't cost me that. It was a result. It happened. But I'm fine with that too, because that was something that needed to happen a long time ago as well.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Wow. Well, Rob knows my parents really well, and
I do. I like your parents.
Yeah, they're fine. Like, I mean, listen, if I were in your position,
your mom loves me.
She does. You should text her and tell her that that you were on the show.
Okay. Does she watch?
I don't know. You should tell her to watch. She's been on the show once. Actually, we talked about marriage and she called in and it was very sweet. She's made it very clear prior to that and after that she doesn't get the show. She doesn't understand what I'm doing. Go get a job, like a real, more full-time job. I think she was just like, and what's the point of the show? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, thanks for your support. But as friends, they're great people. And even as parents, they really did do the best that they could. I mean, that they tried, right? But I think that my mom, she's a cool lady. It's just that she's married to my dad. My dad's a fucking dick.
And it's ironic that you're saying that, because even as parents, adult parents, a lot of people aren't adulting as adult parents, right?
I have an article that I pulled up, and it said why more people are cutting ties with their parents at an adult level, at adult ages, and why. And it was just all past trauma. It's like, it's big with baby boomer era parents too. Like they can't say anything nice. Like you go, hey, I got 100 followers on my show or whatever. And it's just like, could you get 200? You know, or, we were talking about when people give me gifts and things on the TikTok side, like it shows up, there's like animations and things. And each gift it translates into diamonds. And diamonds are the TikTok currency. So I made $1.34 so far in 18 episodes, and I'm pretty proud. Now, mind you, most of those gifts do come from Dave, but still, you know.
Yeah, I still think it's a great benefit that you had your parents growing up. A lot of people don't have their parents, or they have that. Like my dad disowned me. He died last year, and I got the paperwork from the lawyer. I disowned my son.
What?
Right?
I'm so
yes. Well, that's because my stepmother. But I knew this would happen since I was 8 years old. And not knowing that your parents don't have your back when you're growing up, that forces you faster into adulting.
Does it force you, do you think, also faster into adulting, but also like a backslide? You know?
Well, they got you, like, if you have parents and... you know, you lose your job. Oh, hey, can you help me out with rent this month? Or, you know, like I don't have children. Yeah. A big reason I don't have children is I knew my parents didn't have my back.
Yeah. So you didn't want to.
If I had my back, like I'd be like, all right, yeah, let's have 5 kids. Sure, because if I lose my job, my parents will bail me out. Right. No, I just had me.
Yeah. Well, and also I think if you've had trauma when you're growing up with your parents, that will transfer into the way you parent. And that's, you know what I mean? There's a big scare and that can happen. And you're right. Like I do sometimes take it for granted that I did grow up with both my parents. Both my parents worked really, really hard. They both worked, 40 to 50 hours per week, had 2 kids. We were a pain in the ass. I do not know how my parents did it. And there's also like, sorry, now it's like the animal kingdom in here. I've got 2 cats that don't get along. Quiet. But, you know, I think you're right. Like, they had my back when I was younger, but in the last, I'd say even 15 years, they really haven't. You know, and that's hard because...
When do they push you out of the nest, though? Like, they got to push you out of the nest at some point and say, okay.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. And you can push out of the nest without being really mean. Like insulting. You know what I mean? Like if you're going, you don't have a purpose in life, that's not pushing someone out of the nest. That's being narcissistic and manipulative, you know?
Sure.
So I had a lot of that growing up. But if you know Steve the way you do, Steve Dallas, it would be shocking to you, right? You'd be like, that guy's a fucking party animal. He's always buying everybody dinner, drinks. You don't pull out your card. Don't you dare pay. You're a guest, but you know, he's great that way. And that's why I'm saying, like, as a person, as people, my parents are fantastic, you know? And yes, of course, like, if we were going out with my folks, and they would take care of things, that'd be great. But it was always, Jennifer, don't bother pulling out your wallet because you know your card's going to decline. Like, that kind of thing. And it's like, well, shit. So, anyway, what do you think that there are some examples of, and Dave, I know you're there somewhere, but like ways of adulting, ways to adult, but they just suck. And you know you got to do it. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I'm not a great apologizer. I've really worked. Excuse you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
What are examples of ways when you have to adult, but it sucks? And I was saying, like, I don't apologize well. And so having to say, I'm sorry, even when I'm not 100% wrong, which, you know, as you know, is just so rare. But that's not true. I'm wrong sometimes, but sometimes. But having to be like when I got irritated with you for no reason when I was drunk, I mean, even still, it's like I knew I was drinking. I shouldn't have been a bitch, like, and I apologized the next day. I knew I was wrong. But in general, sometimes I'm not, like, that's a hard thing for some people to do. So I was wondering what you thought, some examples of adulting that suck, but, you have to do it sometimes.
I mean, I think, I mean, that's a great example. I mean, I think sometimes, like, if you know you're in the wrong, like, being able to apologize and really, not even make amends, but really just kind of make the other person feel like they're like that you acknowledge what's going on is a big thing, right? And I
Right.
think it gets harder as you get older.
Right.
But I think another one too is just being able to, kind of make accommodations for other people's like time and what they need. Like, a big one I think now that I'm getting older is, just kind of like biting the bullet and like going to go visit my family more often because and sometimes it feels like a little bit more effort on my end because I'm the one that's having to drive. But at
Right.
the end of the day, like, it's something that, while maybe it takes, a little bit more of your time, takes your afternoon, it really means the world to somebody else, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's like as a parent showing up for your kid to an event that you may not necessarily know very much about. Like my mom used to go to what was it called to a few of like the Shakespeare plays that I was in and stuff when I was a kid. And
Oh.
and the thing is, it's like she didn't speak that like English that well at that
Right.
point. And she just probably sat down for like a solid 2 hours, not really understanding what was going on. But that's what
Especially
she did.
Shakespeare's hard to understand if you speak English.
Exactly, but that was like a thing that she knew meant a lot to me, or to sit in while I was in orchestra. So I mean, I think that there's examples where you can show up for people, that might take effort on your end, but
Right.
really, shows that you love and appreciate somebody else.
Do you guys both, asking you both, do you guys both feel like you've got to do that, show up for family more than friends?
Should.
You
2000%.
you should,
Yeah.
but like, do you find that is more, like, that shows, like, okay. Okay, I figured out why I'm hot, though. So I've got the hot lights on
That would
my
do it.
face. Because I've got the window open. It is a beautiful evening over here in the valley. And I am just like, at first, I was like, I'm good. I'm not wearing a tank top. And I got to figure out this lighting situation because now I am just schwitzing. Do you find that just because you should have to show up for your family more than your friends, do you find that those, like, it's not like I'm live in here or anything. Please be loud. Daughter, do you find that there are events for your family that are, what am I trying to say here, Dave? Like,
Mhm.
things for your family pop up more than things with your friends?
I mean, I think in some ways, like, I know you and I have spoken about how, like, I have family members that I'm not particularly close to. So it doesn't really matter to me whether I'm spending time with them. But the reality is, like, my mom might be in those situations. So it's more about, spending time with her and just putting up with like small gripes. I think, when you're exposed to like, friends and maybe like friends of friends that you don't want to hang out with, sometimes like, unless you're sharing a cabin together, like there's an easy out. I think with
Yeah,
families, you kind of like have to grin and bear it a little bit more.
to save face, to
Yeah.
feel, to stay in the will, or
Yeah. I mean, at
show,
least that's been my experience, right? You
show your
can't,
support.
yeah.
Well, and I think too, like with family, Ralphie, stop it. With family, there's more of you in theory, right? You've got cousins. Like for me, I've got a big family. I've got
Hmm.
cousins. Now we've got cousins that have kids. My parents don't live here. My sister doesn't live here, but I definitely try to show up for as much stuff as I can for the family that's here.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I feel like I look like, Jennifer not adulting, or, being,
I think for me, I have to be. I very much value family, and as fragmented and sparse as my family is, without a central hub, there is no family.
yes.
So, I bought this big house here, and now I can host Thanksgiving, right?
Oh.
And I can have everyone over for Thanksgiving. Where before, there wasn't really a central hub,
Yeah.
and, I would go to my ex-wife's family for Thanksgiving, and it would fizzle out, or currently, like, my girlfriend's house for Thanksgiving. But
Yeah.
now I have this house. And now I have a central hub for family. And I feel like almost that I have to serve as the backbone of the family, right? To keep it together, to have a family. Yeah. Otherwise, you just have fragments of pieces of family scattered about.
Yeah.
Are you and your mom so close?
So this giant house has an ADU, and I put my mom in it.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Yeah, so she has a separate front door, separate laundry, separate kitchen. Everything is separate. So she's separate, but I can go and keep an eye on her anytime. So
that's so nice. You know what?
Yeah. And I even bought her a golf cart so she can go and pick up the mail down the street.
You know what? I'm gonna say this, and I said this to Dave, and he and his brother are doing something very special for their mom for her birthday, and I don't want to say it in case somebody's out there. And
sure,
but I will say that.
Well, you can say it. My mom doesn't watch TikTok, so you're fine.
Well, yeah, but Avery watches sometimes.
She'll probably. Well, okay, fair enough.
Okay, fine. So Dave's mom's car is on the outs, and so Dave, his brother, and their cousin, who's really close, they're all pitching in and getting his mom a newer car.
Nice.
And I just wanted to cry when they were talking about it, because that's what you should do for your family, you know? And I love that. And I will say this, like, I know a lot of daughters that they're great to their parents. My friend Rachel, if she's out there watching, she's great to her parents. And she's an autonomous mom too. But I think sons of mothers, they have such a special bond. It can be weird sometimes if it's, you know, like my ex-boyfriend, but sons of mothers who really care, I mean, that's the way it should be. They brought you up, you know, like you relied on them, and now they're going to rely on you. It's just kind of like a natural progression, right? So I love that. My parents would never want to come live with me, but it's funny because when I rented this big house, and looks like I'm getting closer to being able to afford to keep it, but same thing, like when my parents would come to town, my aunt, my other mother, lives up the street, not even 6 minutes. And my grandmother, she is turning 98 in less than 2 months, and she lives 10 minutes down the other way. And we all live within 10, 15, 20 minutes. And I said, I've got this house, like, same thing, like, we can have holidays here because it's more spread out. Like, I'll have Dave clean the carpets, and I'll move the dogs upstairs. You know, we've got plenty of bathrooms. And every time my parents were here, it was like, we don't want to. You know, I don't think, like, I've had one family event here, and it was Kennedy's birthday last year. And I was just like, I mean, it's just easier. There's no stairs. Like, my grandma can just walk in, you know, like, and we've got big living rooms, and this will be great. Like, everyone will come here, and it's like, no one comes here. But then I'm starting to like that. So, I mean, I'm sure you're going to do Thanksgiving at your house, but, you know, you and your mom are welcome here, too. And that's the one day a year I cook. I DoorDash so many times out of the year, but I love my Thanksgiving food shopping. I like to cook. Last year was the first year I did Thanksgiving all by myself because Kennedy was with her dad, and I had some organic materials, and I cooked myself a whole meal and a bunch of desserts and drank, and then more organic materials, and I watched Godzilla in my huge house all by myself with my dogs.
That's awesome.
We're gonna start to wind down quicker because your girl's gonna go to dinner. But were there, Dave, or both of you, give me like one more example where, like, no, let's do this. If you could give someone advice about, you know, it's like this adulting situation's gonna suck. I can give you an example, like, we've already talked about forgiving. What about setting boundaries? Like, you've got someone that, you know, like, not you having to set boundaries with someone, but you've got to give the advice to someone who you know needs to set boundaries. Mm-hmm. And you know that's going to suck, but, like, what advice would you give them so that that person can feel like they came out on top? Mm. I know that's a good one. I'll use an example right now. Rob, when you called on my Yom Kippur episode, speaking of wine, and we were talking about Dave and I, and just, you know, breaking up and switching, you know, what that looks like, titles and being friends. And Rob called in, we were talking about this ex, and I was like, the signs are there, Rob. You know, like, I know that that's going to be hard when someone checks the boxes and then, you know, they're not, but you know, that there's these crucial boxes that they're not checking. But in the long run, you're going to feel better knowing that you're not settling and that that person can't take advantage of you and hurt you because you're a great person. I don't know about you guys. I think sometimes I'm destined to just be alone with whatever animals are still alive with me at the time, because I'm like, I just...
Yeah, are you like getting into like being vulnerable and possibly being controlled by someone because you have a weekness?
Sure,
or
just in general, like...
Yeah, in general, I mean, and this, I guess my answer is going to kind of roll into the entire adulting thing as well.
Perfect.
But I go to therapy every Wednesday.
Dave!
I just got out of therapy, came home, and jumped on this
Wait,
podcast.
Dave, isn't that your therapy day too?
Wednesdays it is, yeah.
You know what?
Wednesday at 3 in Woodland Hills.
Dave, yours is in the morning.
12 online.
You know what? I'll call Marnie tomorrow and I'll be like, listen, I feel like I'm doing great, but with solidarity with my two co-hosts, I'm also going to need some Wednesday therapy leading into the hotline.
We should all do therapy on Wednesday.
Okay.
But
go ahead.
It's a question of when going to therapy, you're on a path of self-growth, self-improvement, self-realization, and being one with yourself, right? Yeah. And dropping your baggage, whatever. Everyone's got trauma baggage.
Oh.
And you do two things with that baggage. You take it with you and bring it into your relationship, and it rears its ugly head here and there. Yeah. And I'm sure even your parents have some baggage that they haven't put down.
For sure. Oh no, they carry it.
The other option is you deal with that trauma and you become wiser. Totally. Right? And you know your self-worth, and you can draw boundaries because you know what's right and what's wrong and what's too much for you, and not to get treated horribly. Yeah. So I think dealing with trauma baggage, but also, I've been going to therapy every week for years.
It's great, right? And should be required. Yes,
it should be, because I got a lot of trauma baggage that I've been able to...
Especially with online dating, right?
And be wiser.
Especially with what, Dave?
Online dating. You should be able to have are you in therapy field,
They should, you know what? They should have that on Hinge X, like, where it's like vaccinated pets therapy. Well, they do have a lot of prompts that are like, my therapist would most likely tell me, and I'm always wanting to put like, I need more therapy. Rob, I gotta say I'm really proud of you too, because there's not a lot of men that will not only admit that they need therapy, but that it's worked and it's a crucial part of their growth, especially in their 50s. I mean, there's a lot of people that go, therapy. And it's like, find the right therapist. We've talked about this.
Find the right therapist. That's key.
We have talked about this since the beginning of the hotline. And I think I always holler therapy. It's like, if you haven't found the right therapist, hey, Rosanna, if you haven't found the right therapist, keep looking. It's not like you're trying to find the one that you're going to settle down with forever like a partner. But at the same time, Marnie is my girl, and we align with a lot of things, and she doesn't tell me what I want to hear, but has gotten me through some, and watched me ugly cry, and has gotten me through some really hard times. And like when Alex and I broke up, she goes, I'm really proud of you, because I knew you were going to get there, and I wasn't going to tell you to do it. She just steered me in the right direction. And if I got off track, she was like, when you're playing Mario Kart and you fall off the road and Lakitu comes and picks you up off the road and puts you back down? Marnie is my Lakitu. She's like, oh, oops, I fell down. Dave, what about you?
In terms of what?
If you were going to
give some hard adulting advice, you
need to tell someone how to, that they're going to have to adult and it's going to suck, but positive outcome. Like, I can give you an example.
Ooh, no, I've got a great one too. Budgeting, really, and saving money. Yeah, I mean, I think it's oftentimes like people people really spend beyond their means, or they spend it on ways that they in ways they shouldn't. And it's just, I feel like in some ways people just get like into these habits, especially around money, right? And that's not even to say like any kind of like embarrassment that people have about that, but just in terms of like how people spend money and stuff like that. And I'm certainly guilty of it too, where I know that oftentimes when I go to your place, like it's easy to like just stop by and get food somewhere, right? But if I want to save,
Oh,
it wouldn't be the end of the world for me to just make a sandwich and take it
I
up with me, right?
I thought you were gonna say like, because I actually had this thought the other day that when you come over and you spend the night, that like we end up door dashing junk food, and I feel like I'm a bad influence, because then Dave will just be like, "All right, we're getting junk food now," and it's just like, "Ha ha! I've rubbed off on you the evil ways of just door dashing," especially if we've been. Hey Sherilyn, handling the devil's lettuce, if you will. It's really easy to be like, well, we can't drive anywhere now.
Yeah, no, I mean
And
it totally is. But I mean, I think in terms of saving, money and stuff like that, right? Like, I mean, that I like traveling and stuff like that. And
yeah,
sometimes, like when I travel, like I just hunker down and I, spend less on eating out and
yeah.
spend less on just, things that I don't really need. But I think it's easier to do that because then it's just like I've just been in the habit throughout my life that, if I really need to save money, like you just stop spending. But I think oftentimes like people just, for whatever reason, right? Like have difficulties around just saying like, you know what, I'm gonna eat out a few times less a week, or maybe I'll DoorDash a few times less. It's a habit, and like, that you have to like a muscle that you have to build. But I think over time, it has a lot of huge benefits, right? I mean, who doesn't want to have like a little couch money in case of an emergency?
I'm actually gonna make a note. When you guys, this is gonna be like a good thing for me to have you both on, because I'm learning, but I'm making a note of let's not DoorDash so much.
Well, I mean, maybe one way to think about it instead of just saying like I'm not going to do this one thing is like, for instance, like with me when I'm saving, a lot of it is goal oriented, right? Like if I want to spend X amount of money on a trip, I need to save that amount of money.
Yeah.
And then that kind of really informs what you can and can't do around like, like that really informs the budgeting that you need to do to hit that goal, right?
I just wrote, "Don't you want to retire?" Question mark.
You start small. Maybe you want to buy yourself a Labubu or buy one for Kennedy.
Well, I think, and again, not to bring this back to this whole house thing, because I feel like we've been talking about it since Vietnam, but like my plan is get the house. The house will have equity. Eventually I could sell the house. I mean, again, you never know if the market's going to be good, bad, or ugly. But like, if I own something, I can always sell it for something, right? And that's sort of where I'm at. Like, I'm done doing investment horses. And as much as I love the idea of being, the Valley's best French bulldog breeder, I don't think that that's really financially advantageous either, right? Like, you got to have things that are worth something. And on that note, I listen. How about my big things are no more pets for a while, and definitely don't buy any more horses, because I can really. I got it. You're right. Set those small goals. No more horses.
Well, not maybe just one. Maybe is a small one okay?
I think not
Actually, I
gonna.
didn't say that.
Let's do no small. Well, no, and as I've told you, small one's not so great. Well, maybe. Okay, the two songs that I added onto the Spotify playlist are Rob, did you ever, by the way, go to the link tree on I sent it to you on my MILF Hotline Insta?
You did not send it to me.
Did I add you on MILF Hotline Instagram? I think I may have today. So
Okay.
go check, and there's a link tree there. That was a big thing for me 2 weeks ago. But it has the link for the Spotify
List?
Yep. Playlist,
Okay.
yep. And so the songs I added today were The Adults Are Talking by The Strokes and What's My Age Again by Blink-182.
Oh, excellent.
Before I finish up, I wanted to say the other adulting thing that I did this week, that I came to a conclusion this week, and I think next week I might move the day of the hotline, if depending on where you guys are at. I don't expect you both to do the hotline every week. I eventually will have to rely on other people to banter with, but it just so happens you guys are so great. But I've had this horse named Buns since he was 5 years old. He's almost 27. A couple years, and I mean, he's been my life. Like, I've got him tattooed on my arm. Everybody who knows me knows Buns. But he has cancer and it's evolved. And so I have been torn with the idea, like, is it time to let him go, not let him go? And I did make the decision that next week it will be time to let him go. And a friend of mine helped me get there. He's skinny, and it's like his ears are forward and he looks happy to see me, but he looks thinner than me if he were a person, and it's just time. And I'm in this unique position to be able to take care of it before he hurts himself, like bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's been a really hard realization. And then I've been asking people that know him or know me to, like, if you've got pictures of him or stories of him. Most people that I know have met, like Dave wrote him like earlier this year. And so anyway, I am having people send me in stories and pictures, and I'm reading them to the horse this week and weekend. And then I'm making a yearbook. So anyway, but that was a big adulting moment for me, which was also helping me with, not only am I, losing a friend, and I know he's, going to look over me or whatever, but I really don't need to replace that. Normally, like if I've got, a cat that's getting older or a dog that's getting older, I'm like, let's get another one. But this has really been helpful for me in the sense of, like, we're going to scale back on having animals that, that need to have their own apartment and their own special food.
I have a question on your playlist. So you have 2 songs on the Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Is it always 2 songs? Can it be 3?
No, you can add whatever you want every week. Hold on.
I have a.
Yeah, go ahead. Did I lose you?
Yes.
We've got a follower on the.
Hello?
Oh, go ahead.
It's
there you
from
are.
the band Was Not Was. Do you remember that band?
No, but you put it on there.
It's called Dad, I'm in Jail. And
No,
I think it's suitable for our theme tonight, adulting.
Put it on. Listen, anybody can put any song on there anytime. I put songs on there if I'm just like, I put Abracadabra by Lady Gaga. We've got one of the fans on the TikTok side says, hello. Ever been called a guy? Actually, I have been called a guy. Recently on Nextdoor, someone was like, he said this. And I'm like, I'm actually a woman, but thank you. And sorry, Brian, I'm not into you, but thanks for asking. See, I need more trolls, but it's unfortunate that I just don't have them. Anyway, I'm going to get going. Rob, thank you again. Your time is so valuable, and we love having you on here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off of Dave in a big way.
Oh, huge, yeah.
Invite me anytime. I'll jump on.
Listen, I've got an arc of episodes. I will send them to you. Oh, here's TikTok. Here's TikTok asking me if I'm still live on the other side. It's just, hold on. Yeah, no, I'm here. It makes me move a puzzle piece.
Oh yeah, to make.
Can you see me? Can you see me struggling to move the puzzle piece? But anyway, I will definitely send you the ahead of time. And like I said, next Wednesday is the day for my horse. But I think that it will be helpful to have the operators in my corner at the end of the day. So we'll plan on next Wednesday, 6:30, same bat time, same bat channel.
All right.
All right, you guys. I love you. Thank you, gentlemen, and I'll see you all later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.